Hey guys, Pam from the Woolly Dragon here. So, the video clip that you're about to see is kind of an impromptu garden tour at the end of May. Most of it was filmed on the 22nd, Wednesday. Today is Saturday the 25th. And going through the clips that I was piecing together with my editing program, realized that I didn't introduce myself, nor did I, end the video. So, different shirt, same hairstyle, but same glasses, I believe, but same Pam. Yeah, so I just wanted to clarify that hi, I'm Pam, and I'm forgetful. So enjoy the video, and how are your all's gardens doing so far this year? Even though it's only been 3 days since I last took a walkthrough, I did another one this morning. Did not take my camera, obviously, and things grow fast in the spring and late spring, early summer. I knew that. I'm always surprised by it. I don't know why, but enjoy.
Okay, so any elderberry aficionados out there? So what we're looking at right now is an elderberry plant. It, as far as I know, has been there for a really long time. My neighbor, bless his heart, keeps chopping it down. His wife keeps yelling at him for chopping it down. But, so you can see that that is the top of a post that's probably 4 to 5 feet tall. And in 4 or 5 weeks time, it has grown from stumps to that. So yeah, elderberry is tenacious. Okay, so I've got most of my seedlings outside. Unfortunately, this is the west side of the house, but it's the best area. So I've got to try and think of some way to provide a little bit of a shade here. So I don't know. Hopefully I'll get these guys either sold or planted before I have to baby them too much further. But I'm pretty much having to water them morning, especially evening if it's been especially hot. We all of a sudden got cloud cover, but for the last 2 or 3 days it has been blindingly blue and in the mid to upper 80s all of a sudden, after most of May being comfortably in the 70s. You know me and heat. But let's hope we can get, because you can kind of sort of see some of these guys have the sun scald damage. It will bounce back, especially if I can get it planted or whatever. But and these dang roly-polies in the earwigs. Roly-polies seem to be the issue here. Let me see if they're around. So you can see them there kind of on the edges. Most of the time, roly-polies don't do a whole lot of damage. There's a little family just moving along there. But they do take heavy metals out of the soils. So as a general rule, I try and leave them alone. But all right, so this is going to be attempt at some color in the front yard here. We're actually in the gravel driveway. But I've got kind of a trellis strung up to the top of the Juliet balcony here. And then I'm doing something, if my father finds out, he'll kill me. But I have got a red, white, and blue theme going here. So I've got a scarlet something or other morning glory planted here. moonflower planted here that's not come up yet, and then Grandpa Ott's blue. So hopefully the moonflowers come up, otherwise this will be an exercise in political. I'll have to find something purple to plant to appease the centrists. And then I've also got planted, I had 3 seeds of runner beans, so I put 1 in each. There's one coming up there. That one's coming up there. And then these guys are cardinal climbers. They're related to morning glories, but they're much smaller and definitely less invasive. And they have more lacy foliage. But as you can kind of tell, they look kind of alike. So that's a lot of fun. And then just kind of as filler, I have a nasturtium. That's a torch blue lavender. And then this is an agastache fragrant delight, yes, that I'm growing if I can keep them alive. I have no idea why I can't get agastache to grow once they're planted. They do fine putting them in seed trays and growing them in seed trays, but as soon as I get them outside, yes, even hardened off, and you can see this little guy over here still has some green leaves, but not looking healthy. And so I've just continued the theme of the filler plants on all 3. So hopefully here in the next few weeks, I'll start having some real growth going at my little trellis, and at the very least shading out, because what I have kind of sort of planned for this little area back here, tell me if I'm stupid, but because the front of the house faces the west, and that is the hottest part of the day, especially during summertime, things don't grow very well, except for underneath here. I've got wild grapevines, I've had goldenrod, creeping Charlie, you got some violets growing up there. What else? Hairy vetch, lots of grass, and just various sundry weeds of all shapes and sizes. And so every once in a while I go through here and weed whack it down, but it is definitely hardy. So I thought very, very briefly of making this a planting area, but I think what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to try and build a semi-freestanding deck out here. There's a little shelf growing there along the side of the house there that they brought out when they laid the foundation. And I may try and bring paver stones or capper stones over here to kind of support it. But vaguely, from the wall to these posts is about 5 feet. I'm not going to attach it to the post because the idiot who built this post, as you can see, they don't exactly line up with each other. The back post is just a little bit closer to the house than the front post. So, and then of course with all things wooden these days, this one twists, so it starts twisting around this way a little bit. So not exactly square, and I'm pretty sure my dad would have several cows if I tried to. I may try and maybe anchor it to keep it from sliding one way or the other, but I won't be using that as a part of the corners of the deck. So 5 feet across here, and then from approximately from underneath the faucet to the other side there where the other garage door opens, is about 10 feet. So I'm thinking I may try and do a deck, just so, especially if the morning glory works out and it does provide some shade, I can come out here and rest on this in relative shade rather than having to go searching for shade in the back of the house or something like that if I don't feel like walking that far. So that would help. I would probably put down more gravel on here to try and block out some of these weeds. I don't want to use Roundup. I may have waited too late this year, but I'll just have to see how I do and how I feel about it once I get everything planted and situated in the garden. And does that ever happen? No, probably not. Okay, this is turning into a sort of kind of garden tour. So this is the perennial spot. These are all the survivors. Well, sort of. There's some blackberries cuttings that I did earlier this spring that did not take, but let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them did. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then there's those 3 right there that still haven't leafed out. I'm going to leave them probably to the 1st of June. If they haven't leafed out, I'll yank them out, throw the brambles on the burn pile, and recycle the soil probably in the compost. Then we have our mulberries that survived the winter. We've got 2, 5, 10, 15 of them. Yeah. And then there's this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them right in here that did not. That green thing right there is a weed. So possibly some duds. 3 of my mimosas survived. This one's doing much better than these guys. And yeah, mimosas are just trash trees, but I like them. I think they're very pretty. Some of our perfume breeze cuttings from last year. Got 2, 4, 6 of those, I believe. I sold one of them last plant sale I had. And then 1 each of Purple Tiger and Twilight Zone that I'm keeping for myself once I know where I'm going to put them. Here's my boysenberry transplant. And I had another one. Where did you go? Okay, I did have another one. Oh, it's over there. I have no idea why I said. Oh, I think I put it over there so it wouldn't get too much sun. Redbud that I still have to find a spot for. A couple of yarrows for the sale. Some forsythia that I grew from cuttings. I've got 2, 4, 7 of those left. I think that's it for here. Then we have my little plum tree seedlings that finally seem to have thrown off whatever was gnawing on them, at least the one in the front. He's looking better. Here's my pear tree that I grafted. I actually had a graft from 2 years ago. Back out, Pam. You know how to do this. This side that's growing up here is a kefir pear. And this little spot I had tried to graft a comice pear, but it did not take. So I just removed it. I need to whittle down in that little peggy part. So I think I'm just going to leave this guy as a comice pear and let it go and get it planted somewhere. My pawpaws, the boysenberry, and some more elderberries. So anyone in the Greenville, Greene County area want to come by and get some plants off me, I'm going to be having, weather permitting, a plant sale. See if I can get some of these out of here. Otherwise, I'm going to be throwing down a bunch of topsoil and compost and making a planting of a wild hedge. So a lot of things going to flower. The oregano here is just about to flower. And before you say, hey, shouldn't you cut that back so it doesn't flower? I don't use that much oregano, and it's a lot of it, and it'll keep coming back. And once it flowers and stops flowering, I cut it way back, and it comes back, and then I can harvest as I'm making pasta sauces and stuff like that. The chives, the flowers are pretty much on their way out, but they still look kind of cool. I'm going to start one at a time, just cutting each one back so that they'll come back. The thyme is still flowering. The rosemary needs to grow a little faster, otherwise I'm going to cut back the oregano that's kind of sort of encroaching on it. I'll cut that back a little bit so it has a little bit more room to grow, and probably that branch of the thyme that's kind of encroaching too. Basically how I garden is I plant a bunch of stuff, and whatever survives, that's what stays. This bed needs to be severely restructured probably this fall, winter. The phenomenal lavender is doing phenomenally still. Got a whole bunch of little flower black bracts that are about to open up, hundreds of them. It's huge. I mean, look at that. This is the lavender, just regular, I think it's a Munstead. Definitely a lavender vera that I grew from seed. Same thing with that guy over there. But it's still pretty. And then a whole bunch of mother of thyme. Every time I think, mother of thyme, it's not going to make it this year, and then it bounces back even bigger than normal. The purple wild roses are just on the verge of flowering. Everyone's always saying, why do you grow those stupid wild rambling roses? They're going to get invasive. Not if you keep them in check. So earlier this spring, what I did was basically pulled weeds, cut back, and then I cut back a lot of the stems, especially if they were dead or broken or crossing. Now, unfortunately, you can't keep a wild rose from crossing branches or anything like that. But I cleared out a significant amount on all three of my little plants here. Eventually, what my goal is to build kind of an arbor here. Have one going from here over to that one, and then another one going from there over to that one, so I can start training the canes to go upwards rather than sprawling on the ground. I know, possibly impossible dream, but we'll see. You never know. But I just like them. I mean, I've got the white roses, wild roses that are on that maple tree there that bee yard, but they come and go very quickly. And I'm not great. White is not my color. It's good for accents, but I'd rather have something like this pink. Sorry, I was scratching my hand. So I really like these. These were from cuttings of a bush, of a sprawl of them that it's over at my parents' house. And basically what I do to kind of mow underneath, I get a stick and then put it up under the canes, put the point of the stick into the ground, and it holds them up off the ground just far enough so I can get under there with a weed whacker, and then I remove the stick and go on around. I'm a genius. The boysenberries are poisoning. The raspberry is attempting to keep the boysenberry in check. We'll find out. Various and sundry. There's my mulberry that I planted a few years ago. It's finally starting to look like a mulberry bush. That elderberry over there is actually flowering. This one over here, not doing as great, but it's alive, so we'll just see what happens. That whole adage of, perennials, first year sleep, second year creep, third year leap. Maybe it hasn't reached the right leap year or something. Here's my Wolf River apple that I planted. This one I bought. Honeyberry looks like it may decide. I'm just gonna try and keep this guy watered this winter, or this summer. Honeyberry does not like heat. So I'm gonna try and get it to grow as much as I possibly can, and then just keep it watered over the summer as much as I can. Threw some compost on top around it to get a little oomph. There's the experimental apple tree seedling from actual apple tree seed. And then this poor sad little thing, my little stairway planter that I thought I got all the blackberries cleared out of it. So, lesson for y'all: if you don't want blackberries in your beds, remove them as soon as you see them. But I think what I'm going to try and do is, once all of the irises here have pretty much started dying, you can see some of them are definitely dying, at least the seed heads. Once that happens, I'm going to start pulling out and dividing the iris rhizomes and see if I can get this bed reset, remove as many of the blackberry brambles as I can, and the other weeds and things. Put some more soil in here because the soil level has dropped pretty significantly. These are decking boards, so they're like 5.5 inches tall each, so 16, 17 inches high. That bottom board stays constantly wet. You can kind of sort of see it starting to possibly rot from the bottom, but so far it's doing okay. So, but I need to, because the dirt level is probably in the middle of those two lighter boards now, and it needs to be drawn up. I think I'll also try get some silicone sealant, see if I can seal the outside where there's some gaps. Or I may just scrap the whole thing and do something else here. Maybe I'll get one of those metal raised beds so it doesn't deteriorate as quickly. The purple tiger rose. It's not really my favorite. I'm having a little bit of buyer's remorse, but I mean, it's growing on me. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. And then behind it is the Malva Mystic Merlin that you can see. I was hoping by growing Malva instead of hollyhocks, I wouldn't have to be dealing with the rust, but the rust comes for them too. Here's my grand carrot experiment. I had planted some Kyoto red carrots here last fall, and they were coming up, and we got a really bad cold snap beginning of October, and they hadn't gotten big enough to harvest anything, and they kind of went into a stasis mode. They stayed. They didn't really die back, but I just kind of left them there to see what happened, and then they started growing. But carrots are biennials, and so going over winter, they know they're on their second year, and they started going to seed. So, but bees and other pollinators like them, so I'm just going to leave them here. Hopefully catch a few seeds, because there aren't any other carrots flowering in my area that I know of. Plantings of tomatoes and peppers. The tomatoes are taking off. This is let's see, I've got a Brad's Atomic Grape here, and then two purple boys right here for my slicers. Oh, more sunburn. This is the Chablis bell pepper. I've got 3 of them growing here. These 2 that I planted first, I'm trying the whole growing 2 together to kind of use them as their little support rather than putting in a stake. And then these guys were not doing well, so I had another one that I was going to do for the plant sale. I went ahead and threw that in there, and now it's got the sunburn going on, so I let them duke it out. These 3 are the Lesia peppers, and then those 2 are just Goliath jalapeno peppers, and then snapdragons from previous years. This is the Black Prince snapdragon, and for some reason, I mean, some of them do die. I had that Black Prince and that Black Prince there in the corner, and then I had a Tequila Sunrise there in the center. Tequila Sunrise did not come back. And then I'm noticing I have holy basil seedlings coming up, so I may have holy basil this year. I didn't plant any intentionally because there's another one. Oh well. Bulbing onions and a currant bush. That is a clove-scented currant. We'll see. And then one of the onions that I had harvested last year that started bolting while it was inside. So I pulled it out and planted it there, and it's going to seed. So we'll see what happens. The grapes and the elderberries actually seem to be coexisting. The asparagus is doing what asparagus does late spring, bolting, going to seed, all that kind of good stuff. Second bed, I've got, these are my eggplants. Those are Rosita eggplants that have like a cool neon purpley pink color. Very pretty, and they taste really, really good. I don't usually say that about eggplant, but they actually very good taste, no bitterness, that kind of stuff. And then I think these guys are my paste tomatoes. I've got Bellatrix and Zenzé. I'm gonna give them a try. I've grown Bellatrix before, twice before. The first year they did really good. Last year they died a quick and early death. I don't know what's going on there, but this is a different spot, so I'm gonna hope that they know what they're doing. Got a couple of regular basils. I think those are Emerald Towers. And then that's Zenzé, which is a paste tomato. I've never tried it before, but I'm always on the lookout. Okay, some more purple of the Black Prince snapdragons. Those are butterfly peas coming up. And then these are my cherry grape tomato line of tomatoes. I've got one Sun Gold, one Sun Sugar, one Juliet, and one Verona. The Verona and Juliet are grape tomatoes. The Sun Gold and Sun Sugar are yellow cherry tomatoes. I had the Sun Gold last year. I'm going to see which is the better flavor, Sun Gold or Sun Sugar. Dahlia that survived the winter in the ground. So happy about that. This are 2 of my pizza peppers, and then that's my Felicity pepper. They both look like jalapenos. The pizza pepper is more blocky. It's kind of a cross between a bell pepper and a jalapeno pepper. Felicity looks exactly like a jalapeno, but tastes like a bell pepper. All right. So this is one of the beds with the cattle panel trellis or support for shade cloth. I didn't put a shade cloth on this one quite yet because I've got stuff that likes the sun. I've got some cucumbers. I think those are the Bait Alpha cucumbers growing there so they can go up the trellis. That I have no idea what it is. I may regret leaving it there. Got a couple things of carrots. I need to plant more carrots. One carrot is coral, the other one is envy. And then I've got a line of green onions growing in between. And then I had some spinach that I went and harvested and just cut it all back, all to the ground, and some of it's coming back, so I'm going to leave it and see if I can get another harvest out of it. And then I've got, that's, I believe, salad bowl lettuce, and these little reddish purpley ones are Merlot. We'll see if Merlot survives the heat. It's supposed to cool down here in a few days, but you never know. Double Delight Dianthus. That's pretty much past its glory. You can see a whole bunch of the dead little pods. I'm gonna let the last little few go and flower, and then I'll cut it way back and see if it'll flush again. This pea plant is the King Tut pea. Now, I thought it was supposed to be a pod pea. Maybe it's getting up. But this is the problem I have with peas. If I had just harvested them small and flat like this, I could have used them as snow peas. Every time I grow one that is supposed to be pod, whether it's just a regular old-fashioned potted, by the time it gets large enough to actually harvest, it's all woody. But it has nice little purple flowers to go with the nice purple pods. I got it because I like the name and the fact that it was purple. That would be easier to see. That's why I grow the purple pole beans, because I can actually see the beans. And here, same thing. So this is a sugar snap pea. I mean, it's putting out seeds, but if it doesn't hurry up, it's going to get too hot. Well, there's one that's starting to get puffed up there. And I noticed this morning, okay, so these are the Black Prince snapdragons. They're out in full sun. And you can kind of sort of see where they got their name from. Very dark red. And then coming under here, these guys who are shaded are lighter red. So put that in your bank of information and try it. Put some of your snapdragons under sun, in the full sun, and some of them under shade, and see if there is a color difference. More spinach that I had harvested. These guys aren't looking quite as robust as the others. The spinach in the other bed was a variety called Lakeside. This is space spinach. I think I've used up all of the space spinach seeds, so I think I'm going to stick with Lakeside from here on out. And volunteer borage. I encourage borage. I like borage. And look, look, look. Okay, so these are the cuttings from apple trees and pear trees that I did this year. And some of them did not make it. Some of them just totally died out. I pulled them out. Like these two over here. That one. That one. Usually if they have some green to them, to the stem, and they don't have any green growth, I'll just kind of leave them just to see what happens. But once they kind of turn black, I just kind of give up. But these guys, let's see, this row right here is Wolf River. We've got 5 seedlings of that. This row of 5 is the Pink Lady apple seedlings. That's my Dripping Honey Asian pear cuttings. And those two in the back that aren't looking too hot, those are those two. But and then these are the trees that the apple trees that I grafted earlier in the year. 5 of them, and 4 of them for sure are actually growing. I've got another, this is a Wolf River seedling. This one is called Maiden Blush. These are all old timey ones. This one is called Hamilton. And this one, which one was this? Topman Sweet. And then that one, I'm not giving up on it yet. That's called a variety called Man. You can see the leaves on it are from the rootstock. I should be peeling those off, nipping those off, but just in case the graft does not take, I don't want to kill the rootstock. I can reuse the rootstock for next year. And then I've got two more varieties. This is the Whitney Crab. Some of them are still growing, some of them not so much. And then there's a line of the Granny Smith. And what I need to do, and I need to do soon with this hot weather, is put up some kind of a shade. Not full shade, but something to help with the little delicate little leaves. Possibly that I can take down on cloudy days and things like that. Who knows? And then I think last but not least, since this is going to be another hour long, this is the whiff of honeysuckle. That's my blueberry bush. That's decided it's definitely happy there. We've got little blueberries on it, and yes, I know I probably should have picked them off, but. And then those are the Old North Sea strawberries with a whole lot of borage, some Johnny Jump Ups, and I believe that's Anna's Hyssop over there. I may need to pull that out because that likes to take over. But for the most part, I mean, there's some duds coming on. Ooh, look. Okay, so I lied. Comfrey that's flowering, about to get done. I'll be cutting that down so I can make some compost tea. That's the Stiletto Rose. That got some buds on them. I think this guy is more of a tea rose. There's some more. I'll have to go look. Some daffodils that are pretty much spent. I'm going to let them die back a little bit more and then cut them back. More borage. Cosmos that I just planted. I think that's a 4 o'clock. I think I grew a 4 o'clock that did not do well here last year, but maybe it's happy after all. Black-eyed Susans, that's chamomile, more borage, violets, another cosmos, my pink wave or pink drift rose. So yeah, mint beds starting to come alive, herb beds, spring.
Hey guys, so thanks for watching the video, and just wanted to end it a little bit better than I left it originally 3 days ago. We'll see you next time I make another video, which could be tomorrow, could be 3 months from now. Stay tuned.